young people, I think they, especially in work scenarios, they crave above all else that being treated. I'll behave how you treat me. And they want to be treated, they want autonomy, they want to be treated with respect, and they want to be given, as you say, the tools and the environment within which to succeed.
We treat them, although they're 16, 17, like adults. They're out in the workplace. We'll treat them like adults. We'll treat them fairly and with respect. Now, and we understand that people make mistakes. If you don't make mistakes, you don't learn from that. Please and thank you, and good morning and good night. Costs nothing.
There's a lot of good managers and bad managers and good leaders and bad leaders out there. And the good thing about having bad managers is you can learn what not to do from them.
There's somebody who influences our hospitality career. There's somebody who impacts us in such a way that we then follow or certain things that they do.
Voices you know, Timothy, Tracy, and Joe on the show. From front of house to chefs on the line, every voice can shape the future each time. Every voice can shape.
All right, welcome. Today we've got a really special guest. This is John Herity from Caledonian Club. Welcome, John.
Thanks very much, Joe. Thanks, Tim.
Hello.
And of course, we've got Tim R. Andrews, the founder of Talking Hospitality.
Hello. Hello.
John, thanks for being on today. Tell us a little bit about your background in hospitality.
I started officially in 1987 when I was in college. Then I moved to London in 1991 and to work in the Caledonian Club as a trainee manager. And then I left there, went to temping for about 6 months just to see how other places worked. I was in Buckingham Palace, Windsor Castle, St James's Palace as a butler, working there in various other companies, and then ended up in PwC and Embankment for 7 years. Get in there as a butler, finishing up as the restaurant manager, and then get made redundant, but get then taken on by the same company to go and work in ING, the bank that took over Bearings after it collapsed. And then from there went to another private bank, Close Brothers. Stayed there for about 7 years before moving back into contract catering in Credit Suisse. Stayed there for a couple of years and then moved to Barclays Bank as the hospitality manager before leaving there and got to State Street as a deputy GM, and then get asked to come back to the Caledonian Club in 2016 as the F&B manager. I then get made redundant because of COVID, and then get asked to come back there again in 2021 as the operations manager. So I must have been doing something right or something wrong. I don't know. And that's been me being back there now nearly 3 years.
Yeah,
So
I can't believe that. It's gone so fast.
I know. I think in the last 33 years, I've been there about 10 and a half years. So I'm one of the newbies. Because we've got staff there that have been in there 32, 33 years.
Wow.
So it's a good place to work.
Yeah, I guess there's not many venues that can say that in the country, can they?
Now, as I said, now we've got a chef that's been in there 32 years. The club secretary has been in there. Him and I started as trainee managers together. We were 1 year apart, and he's not left there. So that's 32 years. We've got chefs that have been in there 32 years. A waiter that's been in there 32 years, but we've got a whole host of staff, 20 years plus. So there's a long service in the one place, which makes the environment for members and guests coming in. It's not a hotel. We don't wear name badges. We get to know the members. They get to know us. So it is like a family. And I know a lot of places say it, but this is genuine. Now they take interest in you, you take interest in them. You meet the grandchild and stuff like that. They bring them up and, oh, this is John, he's this, that. Anything you need, just talk to him. Or when you get into the dining room or the bar, they're made to feel welcome as soon as they walk in through the doors of the club. So it is genuinely, it's a family feel to it. And that's when the club started in 1891. That was the whole ethos of it, that it was a home from home. And that's still the case today, 140 years on.
When we think about hospitality, I think typically people's minds will go to bars, pubs, restaurants, cafes, hotels. Clubland is probably it's a little bit more niche in terms of the hospitality space. How were things when you first started in that side of the industry, and how do you think it's changed?
Oh, it's changed dramatically. In 1991, the Caledonian Club, no female members were allowed. You couldn't walk. Women couldn't walk across the threshold of the bar because they weren't full-time members. I think we changed that in about 2004. So for the last 20 years, women have been on a level playing field with the men. But I know some clubs haven't quite caught up yet. But the same token, there are all women's clubs where men aren't allowed, which isn't really spoken about. But definitely back then, it was very much male dominated, and women were effectively now second-class citizens, if you like. But thankfully, that's changed. I'll take a woman or a man's money. I don't care. Just give her their money. No.
Capitalism equality, right there.
It keeps me in a job.
Yeah.
Sure. What's your ratio of male members to female members off the top of your head?
We've got roughly 1,400 members, and out of that, there's a good 12 to 15% ladies.
Okay.
So a good 150, 170.
So it's a decent number. So what, other than the gender inequality or segregation, what else do you feel has been a big change in recent years?
We've got a lot of younger members. So from that, again, there's a good 150, 200 younger members. So that's under 35s, which can be any walk of life. Now, as long as, because the membership for that is about, I don't know, £500-600 for 5 years, from 18 to 25. So as soon as you hit 18, you could potentially become a member, and then it goes up in increments. So you don't need to be earning a fortune to become a member, as long as you meet the criteria, which is predominantly Scottish, or have an empathy or a link to Scotland. If you were educated in Scotland, or your parents were, or business interests, as long as you've got a feeling for Scotland, that's what it is. Now, there's a lot of, that's the whole thing about a club. You have to have a bond with it somewhere along the line. You can't just come in because you want to. Now, you're vetted, you go through the whole process, but you need to have a link with Scotland, which helps.
Could I get in just because of my surname, do you think?
Have you had some Iron Brew and Watch Taggart?
Sure have.
That's a tenuous link. Now, go and ask.
John, don't ask him to do an accent now. It's embarrassing. His Taggart impression.
Get through one podcast without me doing an accent.
Yes, yeah.
And that specific line has got me a lot of alcohol in my time. From ladies from America and Australia, that when they used to say, can you say that specific line? I said, yes, it cost you a pint. So I got a lot of drink because of that in the 90s.
If only you could remember them. But yeah.
When I had hair. A lot slimmer.
The Caledonian Club is I've been there. It's a beautiful venue. What I've noticed about the club compared to some of the other clubs is it's much more open to getting involved in the community, like the wider community. Like, you've had schools come in, you give them tours, you educate them. Various projects that I've been involved in, you're very keen to get involved in as well. How important do you think that's been for the club to open up to the wider community in terms of activities? Has that been for... I said that question wrong. I'm re-recording that later. Okay.
I think that the whole mystery behind private members clubs is that it's all boys. It's now predominantly white. It's predominantly now middle class or rich people. It's not. Ours isn't. Ours is open to anyone that, as I said, can afford it. And it's not. My golf membership's more than the membership for the club. And I just go to a club round the corner. So it's not stupidly expensive. Now we've got a buy-in. But for us, to help the locals, we do a lot of that, I just said, with the schools. And I've got Westminster college students coming around next Monday. It's to show them what a private members club is. Now, we've got 39 bedrooms. So it is like, in essence, a boutique hotel. But you're not just a number. Now, when you get into any hotel, now, each one's different, but When I've been in hotels, it's just thank you very much and away you go. That's not the way we treat our members or guests. As I said, we get to know them, but open up to the wider community. But the 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds that come in, we offer them jobs. Whether they've get hospitality training or not, when we do the tours, I say to them, look, when you're 16, you'll get your national insurance number. Give me a call. If you want weekend work or if you want to do this, we will train you. So they're getting paid £13 an hour rather than what they should be for now, as the government dictates of £5, £6, £7. So they're getting paid a decent wage and they're getting taught life skills. Now, and mixing with people that will help them. Now, we've got guys that have been coming back for 3-4 years because they're at university. So it gives them money to save up, to go out and earn a decent wage whilst they're studying. So that helps the profile of the club, because they see young people coming through. It's not just 60, 70-year-old waiters or now staff. We've got 16, 17, 18, 19, 20-year-olds. And even the 20-year-olds, some of them have been there for 4 or 5 years. So it's a good grounding for them. And a few boys have been taken on full time from being now 16-year-olds going in. So it's not just a weekend job. It's not just a part-time gig. If you're serious and want to now, and we've got space for you, then we'll take you on full time.
I think that's a really good point about, because a lot of the clubs are not doing so well, are they? Because of that reputation. So how have you managed to attract a younger audience then?
My charming personality.
And you can't replicate that.
No, I can't buy that. No, as I said, we're giving them a decent wage. They're fed when they're there. They're not treated like slaves. They're not hit across the head. We're not micromanaging. You've been in the toilet 2 minutes, we're deducting you. We treat them, although they're 16, 17, like adults. They're out in the workplace. We'll treat them like adults. We'll treat them fairly and with respect. Now, and we understand that people make mistakes. If you don't make mistakes, you don't learn from that. Nobody's shouted at. We're not a workplace where if you make a mistake or you need to pay for that, people break glasses. Now, trays fall, food gets fall. It's one of these things. It's part and parcel of life. But we're not going to stand there and berate them because it's unfair. They're learning. I don't know everything. Yes, I've been in this industry a long time, but that's what I say to them. Look, I make mistakes, but my job is to train you to limit the amount of mistakes that you're making, which makes you better. Because we all make mistakes.
Young people, I think they, especially in work scenarios, that they crave above all else that being treated. I'll behave how you treat me. And they want to be treated. They want autonomy. They want to be treated with respect. And they want to be given, as you say, the tools and the environment within which to succeed. Not to be told the minute they put a foot wrong, you've done something wrong. Like it's the thing. Yeah, it's the thing that I think we get wrong with training quite often. It's the example of a kid learning to walk. It's like when the kid takes his first step or tries to stand up and then falls over. As parents, you don't go, no, you shouldn't have fallen over. Get back up again. The minute they start to know, you go, oh my God, you're standing up. And you're crawling. With every step of the way, we encourage, but then all of a sudden, you're in a work environment and the response is, well, you didn't go fast enough. Look at them, they're walking faster than you. We don't change that much. The way we would want to learn the environments within which we develop and we grow, they're ones within which we're encouraged and we're treated with respect. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, you have to, especially nowadays, with the workplace changing, the younger generations, they won't work for you if you shout, ball. That thankfully, I've been very lucky in my career that I've never had to work in a place like that, because I wouldn't put up with it. The front of house, back of house. No, I've never been into that whole situation. I'm a qualified chef, so I know the back of house as well. So there's no way that I would let chefs shout at my staff. Now, if I was there, it's just not happening.
Yeah. So I always think that in our life, there's somebody who influences our hospitality career. So that there's somebody who impacts us in such a way that we then follow, or certain things that they then do. So, for example, you invest in young people. You're very interested. Whenever I've spoken to about training, you've always been engaged about that. Joe is as well. Joe's all about building people up and stuff like that. And of course, you both know I'm all about that. So in terms of, I think everyone talks about being a great teacher, Right, but I think we all have that person in hospitality that's just as that person that we build ourselves on. Do you have somebody like that, John, that you perhaps might give a shout out to?
It's quite strange. I fell into hospitality because of my circumstances in Glasgow with my family. My gran was a cook. She cooked for Sean Connery at the golf club, and she didn't know who he was because he was baldy. But in the Bond movies, he had hair. So I just think it's that. The whole, for me, it's about helping people. I've not a set mentor as such, but I like a football player, if you like. I look at various managers I've worked with and try to take traits away from them. Now, my first restaurant manager, Mario Brescianini, who's probably not alive anymore because this was 35 years ago. Now, he used to shave and then splash his face with vodka. I certainly don't do that. Yeah, I know.
Wow.
It's mad Italian. But it's guys like that you look at. He's came from a different country and he's learned his trait with brilliant chefs back in Glasgow then and him. And it's just about going, right, he's doing this right. When my friends and from college went to do banqueting, he chose me to get into the dining room of the restaurant where I learned how to do silver service, flambe, steak Diane, steak au poivre. I used to women saying to him, look, what's that boy doing in here? He should be in his bed. It's past 10 o'clock because I looked that young. But just that whole thing that he took his time to teach me how to make steak Dianes and steak au poivres when I was 18. My mates were in banqueting, now banging out events for 120, 140. But that whole getting things done properly, that's what's instilled in me. If you do it once, do it properly. If a knife's straight, it takes the same amount of time to put a knife straight as off-centre or squint. Just do it right once. If it takes you a wee bit longer, the more you do it, the quicker you get. As you just said there, the youngsters, I show them, and nowadays it's take a photograph of the setup. I used to draw the setups for everything before mobile phones so that I knew what it was. Now, and then I still say, this is what we're doing, and show them the setups from start to the end. And that's not just with the youngsters, that's with anyone coming in. I can't tell you're doing something wrong if I don't show you how you're going to do it. So it's me physically showing them rather than relying on anyone else to do it. Because they can't say, oh, I don't know, I've shown you. So if you're not doing it right, why not? What you're not getting? Oh, I'm left-handed, but the knife was still on the right-hand side yesterday. Why have you switched it? Oh, but I'm right-handed, but the majority of the world aren't. So explain the reasons why. The knife's on that side, fork's on that side, that's there. It's about the explanation behind it as well. But as I said there, now I pick up traits from the managers and people that I work with that I think are good or not so good and try and avoid them.
You can definitely learn sadly, there's a lot of good managers and bad managers and good leaders and bad leaders out there. And I think you can learn, the good thing about having bad managers is you can learn what not to do from them, can't you? There's always a positive to be taken. All right, you might have to fight tooth and nail for it, and we would probably say not worth the cost, but that is the silver lining. When you have someone tell you, like, I'll never do that, I'll never speak to somebody like that, I'll never make somebody feel the way that they've made me feel or I've seen them make other people feel. You can learn a lot, can't you?
I built a business out of a really bad manager and I had 16 years out of it.
It's just the whole thing. I walk in every morning and I say hello, and every night I say goodbye. I've had managers that I worked with that walk by you and ignore you when you say good morning or good afternoon, and it's just blank. Look at, why am I busting the gut for them when they can't just say, no matter what's happening, please and thank you and good morning and good night costs nothing. Manners cost nothing. Now, and that's the way managers need to think about, especially nowadays, about people's feelings and thoughts. And sadly, a lot of people don't.
So before we come to the final question, Joe, is there anything else you'd like to ask?
On the subject of mentorship, my theory on it is it's either a mentor is someone who shows you something about yourself, who recognizes something and nurtures it in you, or it's someone who shows you something about the world and where you can go and where you can take those skills. That's, I think, what it boils down to, certainly how I think about it, both when I'm being mentored and when I mentor other people. And John, you've mentioned it a lot in terms of nurturing the teams coming through and the people that you work with and the standards that you hold, it sounds like you hold your team to as well. And I just wondered, if you could give us your definition of what mentoring is.
Exactly what you're saying there. I've actually became a Institute Hospitality mentor. We don't all know the answers, but a mentor isn't meant to tell you the answers. It's for you to find the answers. It's helping them get to the answers, their answers. Because if I give you, what work have you done to get there? But I can help you, guide you there, so that it's your thoughts, your feelings. And if you do that for yourself, you will be better. Rather than me just handing you a plate, this is the answer. That's not what mentoring is. I will guide you to it, but you have to have the thought and feeling behind it. And when you do that, you will feel better achievement because it's your thoughts and your ideas rather than somebody handing it to you. But I can help listen and now put you in the right direction.
I love that. That's great.
If somebody wanted to talk to you maybe about mentoring or even the club, what's the best way for them to get hold of you?
Email me.
Email you.
Yeah, email me.
So you can find John's details on the link below at talkinghospitality.com. John, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you very much, Tim.
Thank you very much.
Good day, boys.
Talking hospitality, the voices you know.